Congratulations on your back-to-back success of See You Soon and Choked.
Thank you.
Let's start with Choked. How did Choked happen?
So I was part of a film called Muthon, which was a Hindi Malayalam bilingual directed by Geetu Mohandas, on which Anurag sir was one of the co-producers, and he also wrote the Hindi dialogues of the film.
Right.
So and he was there through the filming of most of what we shot in Bombay. My portions were shot in Lakshadweep, so he saw those scenes on the edit. He liked what he saw. He got in touch with me through Geetu. And in the first conversation that we had, he said he liked my work. He asked me where I was from. He asked me how he didn't know of me yet, and he offered me a film.
So that was in 2018, right?
Yeah,
The release
that
of Muthun was in 2018.
No,
And
Muthun released in 2019, but this call happened in 18.
how do you have such good diction in Hindi?
I have an elder sister who, while I was growing up, was a huge fan of Bollywood movies. So I used to watch a lot of Hindi movies with her. I went to a Kendriya Vidyalaya for all 12 years of my education. So we also learned Hindi in school, and I had a lot of Hindi speaking friends. And most importantly, I think in 2014, early 2014, I shifted to Bombay. I wanted to do a course at this place called the Drama School Mumbai and come back. But then I really liked what was happening in the theatre scene in Bombay. So I stayed back for a year and a half. So altogether spent about 2.5 years in Bombay, and did a play in Hindi. Most of my friends there were Hindi speakers, so spoke to them in Hindi almost. And I wanted to pick up the language. I liked the language.
How was it working with Anurag?
It was great. For me, it was very different from all the other films I had done in terms of the experience that I had with him, and quite similar to the other films I had done in Malayalam in terms of, just the experience on set. So altogether, I think I was really comfortable. And with Anurag sir, so because I came from theatre, there were a lot of things in my head that I had decided are not to be tried on a film set, or these do not belong here. This is not the kind of freedom that you have in films. That's for theatre. And I had drawn a lot of these strict boundaries and given myself quite a few restrictions. So he broke all of those.
Right.
He made me rethink the way in which I usually approached a film. And I was still working on I'm only like 15 films old, so I was working on, I still am working on a very trial and error method, and he got me to try my most scariest method yet, which is just go in blindly without any prep and see what happens on the spot, which is how he likes to work. And I found a lot of freedom in that, because he really does let you explore. He lets you try everything that you want to try. There's nothing holding you back when you're working with him. And when you're working with someone like him whom you can fully trust with everything, right, you really can stop thinking about everything else and just explore. So that part of it I really enjoyed. I don't know how much of it I'd be able to try on another film set, but Choked was it was everything for me, the experience of working with him.
Your first major role in Malayalam movies came in Mammootty and Nayanthara starter Phutiya Niyamam in 2016. But your career really changed gears with another film which is very differently pitched, which also released in 2016, which is Anandam. Yeah. Talk about these experiences of working in these earlier successes of yours.
So the film that I did with Mammootty and Nayanthara, I did that while I was still staying in Bombay. I happened to be in Kochi for a month. I had things to tend to, and there wasn't really anything here for me to do. All of my friends in Bombay were busy hustling, running from one audition to the other every day, and I felt the anxiety of being left behind. I was fresh out of drama school, really wanted to work, had all the energy in the world. So I just went looking for anything that I could do in Kochi. So that first film sort of came out of my efforts to find work here. And I don't think I approached it as much as as an entry into an industry, or the prospective start of a career here in Malayalam films, as much as just a project to keep me busy. And it was much later that I actually just like a week before shoot that I found out that it had Mammootty and Nayanthara. That's when the scale of the whole thing expanded
Okay.
in my head.
So actually,
And
that was my question. Next question on this
yeah,
film is, how is it to? I mean, it's your second film, if I'm not mistaken,
it's my
and
first film that I'm
first
shooting.
film,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
have Mammootty and Nayanthara in the lead cast. So how
yeah.
was it even to be in a set with such superstars?
It was crazy. It felt like such a surreal experience because I've grown up in a as a family, we're all crazy about movies. My dad is a huge Mammootty fan, so I've grown up watching all of his movies on release
Right.
weekend itself, and all the old movies which come on TV, right? So he's a huge figure in right from my childhood. And when I found out that the movie had him, it suddenly became a very serious affair. That's when I started feeling the nerves and everything. I felt like, okay, this is not just another project. This is huge. I remember going on set on the day we started filming, where I wasn't shooting, but he was there on set. And I remember looking at him from afar for a few hours, walking up to him, meeting him for the first time. And I remember my first scene with him where I watched him do his part of the his access, do his take, and I watched him on the monitor. And I remember thinking, "Oh my God, this is exactly like watching him on TV or watching him
Right.
in a film." So
Right.
it's every take is perfect, right? As long as he doesn't forget a line,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with what he's doing. It's almost like he flips a switch, and I guess it also comes with this amount of experience. So that really got me nervous, and I didn't know how to do that. I'd never worked with the camera before. So I went in with this approach of ignoring that the camera was there at all. I told myself that this is nothing. It doesn't matter who you're working with, be it Nayanthara or Mammootty. Just think of it as a play, or even better, rehearsals for a play. Wipe everything else out. Only have the co-actor in
Yeah.
your vision, and just do what you would do. So the whole film, I think I did it with this logic of ignoring that the camera exists, which is quite wrong looking back at it.
So let's talk about Anandam, which is very different, and that really got you the recognition, which was a major launch
Yeah,
of a
yeah.
major launch. So talk about Anandam.
Anandam was again. So the movie came to me through an audition. I was in Kochi. A friend's friend, actually a cousin's friend who also works in the industry, who had watched Pudhiya Niyamam, messaged me saying there are auditions happening for this interesting film. I think you should try out. So I got in touch with them, went an audition. It was completely new, right? It's a bunch of first timers, all new actors, all doing their first film. The director's doing his first film, the producer's producing his first film, cinematographer's doing his third. So the average age of the whole team is like 20-25. So there was a lot of energy, and the story is also, it's set on the road. It's a coming of age drama for a bunch of, not a drama, coming of age film about a bunch of college kids out on a field
Right.
trip. So it felt exactly like the trip that these guys go on in the film. The only difference being that that's a four-day trip, and we took about 60 days to finish the film. But every day of it felt like we were out on a college trip, and even the filming of it, our director Ganesh Raj and the cinematographer Anand, they both worked really well together. The filming of it was the most non-intrusive that I've had in any of the films that I've worked on. So it made all of us newcomers really comfortable. So that's the film where I found that that level of comfort still exists in front of the camera. It's just something that you have to discover or stumble upon, like it happened with me. And the film, I think it also says a great deal about the audiences here in Kerala, because they gave this film a shot, right? There's no one in it that they recognize, no familiar
Right.
faces, apart from our producer Vineet Srinivasan, who is by then already an established name, but not as a producer, as a director and an actor. So they gave the movie a shot. They saw that there was some heart in it, and the movie just it took on from there. Things started happening. And after Anandam is the first time, I got a call from someone saying, "Hey, there's a project and we'd like you to be part of it." Until then, this was late 2016. I
That's right.
started acting professionally in 2011. So in those 5 years, never had I gotten a call with an offer to work on something.
Right.
I had always been the one making the call, requesting an
Right.
audition, or
Right.
finding out where the audition is.
Right.
So that was the biggest change for me
Yeah.
that Anandam
Yeah.
brought in.
Yeah. Last 2 years have been particularly rewarding for you, with your performances being liked in Kude, Mutun, and Capella, and now more recently in See You Soon. Do you now feel that you are here for the long haul?
No, actually, very honestly, I don't know. I think it's just something about this career that we've chosen, or maybe it's something about me as a person. I don't think there will ever be a place where I will feel secure, where I'll feel like, hey, I can count on this for the next,
Right.
10 or 15 years. I don't think that will happen. And for the longest time, that used to really scare me. But now I'm reaching a point where I've made my peace with it. And I think it's I think it's okay to not have that kind of a security, because
Security.
this isn't your conventional desk job. There is
Right.
no pension plan. There are no
Right.
promotions that you will get. And that sort of keeps you on your toes, right? So right now, every day is uncertain, but that uncertainty in a way is what keeps me hustling. So
Right.
I guess that's okay. But yeah, I'm really glad that these 3 or 4 films that you've named have reached the audiences that I wanted these films to reach, and that they have connected with it and appreciated it and liked it. That makes me very, very happy. That's not happened with a lot of the projects that I did before these films after Anandam. It's never given me that false sense of security.
But it's also very rare that in 2020, when things have all gone topsy-turvy and there are no theatrical releases, you are one artist who have had actually 3 releases. I mean, you had Capella earlier in 2020, then you had See You Soon and Choke releasing on Amazon Prime and Netflix. So it's obviously 2020 has not been so harsh. In fact, it has been quite pleasant for you.
Well, this side of it has been pleasant. Capella and Choke were both films that we were done working on in 2019. So the fact that they were waiting to release, and it coincided with the lockdown. I mean, Choked was always supposed to be released on an OTT. Capella had just played in the theaters for five days when the lockdown started, and the theaters were shut. So that way, yeah, it's definitely made this period a lot easier to deal with. By no means has it made it completely pleasant. Obviously, it's a tough time for everyone. I'm just not complaining, because I know for a fact that it's a lot tougher for a lot of people out there, including my contemporaries, because they still have work waiting to come out, which hasn't found a platform or an audience. But yeah, in that way, in terms of, like I said earlier, in terms of reaching out to an audience which enjoys this kind of work, I think this has been, at the risk of sounding very insensitive, this has been an ideal scenario where people have had the time, they are looking for content, and these films have come on platforms where content is available for whoever's looking for it.
So the reason I invited you on this show is after I saw See You Soon very recently. How was it acting with the super talented Fahad Fazil and Darshana, who you have collaborated with on other projects as well? Yeah. The movie was also praised for its unique storytelling format. So tell us a bit about See You Soon.
So See You Soon was it's the luckiest project that I've been part of, and it happened mostly because it happened at such an unlikely time. There was no work. I didn't see it coming. It was just a message out of the blue from Fahad one day asking if he could call, and he said, "Okay, we're experimenting with something. It's a small film. Mahesh Narayanan is going to direct it." And these are both people that I really wanted to work with. Fahad, for one, I've been following him so closely for the longest time, and he's been such a huge inspiration, because he's just so talented and somehow reinventing himself film after film. I've always made it a point to reach out to him after I've seen his work and everything. So yeah, I was just really glad to work on this with these people, because everyone, including Darshana, a very close friend of mine whom I've worked with and known for the longest time, they're all extremely talented people. So the moment you surround yourself with people like that, with that amount of creative energy and that level of talent, I think the toughest things become the most exciting things to work on. And See You Soon was definitely that sort of a project where everything's so unconventional that it's difficult. It throws you off a lot. For instance, having to do a scene the way we are having this call right now, except I don't see your face either.
Right.
I only hear what you're saying. In terms of cracking this format, all three of us helped each other a lot, I think, intentionally and subconsciously. I am still dying to work with Fahad again because I feel I have this incomplete feeling that okay, I did do a film with him, but I wasn't able to stand in one space with him and figure out a scene with him. With Darshana, we've done another feature film, we've done a couple of plays, but she's surprised me so much in this project. What I've seen of her in the film has made me want to work with her again. And when the movie ended, I wish there were 2-3 days more of shoot left so I could work with
So
Mahesh Narayan.
when did you guys shoot for this?
We started shoot in the last week of May and went on till about the end of the first week of June. Then there was a break, and then we continued in the third week of June. Altogether, I think 18 to 20 days of shoot.
Let's go back a bit. How was childhood and when did you decide to be an actor?
Childhood was quite regular. I spent my first 2 or 3 years that I remember. So, like maybe like ages 4 to 6 in Punjab in Firozpur. That's where I started school, Kendriya Vidyalaya in Firozpur. Then we moved down to Kerala, closer to our hometown, which is Changnasheri. So,
Right.
joined this other KV that I told you about earlier there. Stayed in Changnasheri throughout till my 12th. I had had grandparents around, had a bunch of boys in the neighborhood that I used to go play cricket in the evening with. Used to watch a 4 p.m. in the evening movie on a Sunday. That sort of a regular childhood. My dad reads a lot, and so does my sister. My dad loves movies, so does my mom. So I think films and books were always constantly around, and there were too many of them for me to ignore them, so they became part of my childhood as well. And then after school, I didn't particularly have an idea what I wanted to do, so I went with the flow. Everyone seemed to be doing an engineering entrance exam, so I did that too. And then I ended up in an engineering college where I studied for a year before I realized that it wasn't for me. So then I quit engineering college. Then I went to Madras Christian College, which is in Chennai, which is the college that my grandfather went to, who has been one of my biggest influences in life. So I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I just thought, okay, I'll retrace his footsteps, and I'll somewhere along the way, I'll probably find a semblance of a purpose. So went to MCC to do a BSc in physics. And in my first year there is where a professional theatre company called Stage Fright Productions from Chennai came into the college to audition kids for a play that they were doing. It required a big cast and a lot of characters, which small characters with a few scenes. So they came into the college. I auditioned for that evening because I didn't have anything better to do. And then I really got hooked, I think, because the rehearsal process, which went on for about 3 or 4 months, I had a lot of fun there. I was suddenly surrounded by all of these people who'd meet at 7:30 every evening after having finished their day job. Following this, that's the only time that they get to really like follow their passion or
That's
do
right.
what they really like doing. So the energy in the room was incredible, and I really enjoyed it. And I kept going back there even on days when I wasn't really required. And when the play was done, I just wanted to keep doing more theater for that. And then slowly it changed into other things. But yeah, that's what hooked me.
So two plays I want you to talk about, which are pretty significant in your career, in your acting career, is Rajat Kapoor's The Glass Menagerie and Fazeh Jalali's 777.
Yeah.
So talk about these two plays and your experience in acting
Yeah.
in them.
I just wanted to stay back in Chennai and do theater and figure out a way to make ends meet. But then I also realized at some point that if I'm going to do this formally, then I should also probably learn something about it. And I honestly couldn't remember the last time I learned something that I was genuinely interested in. So this prospect got me excited. I came to Bombay. In Bombay, I started watching plays, and I was really inspired by the kind of work that was happening, and I wanted to stay back. So Foyze was one of my faculty members at the drama school. She's someone who's influenced me a lot right from the first class that I attended with her, because that sense of unlocking something in your body which you've always had, but you've had no idea how to put it to use.
Right.
So Foyze was the first person who sort of showed me how to channel that into something that I wanted to do, or how to use it for an effect that I wanted to produce. Basically, she works a lot with the body and with movement, and a lot of these abstract things made a lot of sense to me, and they became tools that I felt like, okay, would be fun to use, so fun to explore, which I had no access to until then. So I knew right from when I was in drama school that I wanted to do a play with her. Almost immediately after we got out, she started working on this play called 777, which I initially could not be part of because I was in Kochi at that point working on a film. And there came an opportunity for me to join the team later while they were still working on the play. And I got in. And it was incredible because it was a completely devised play from a bunch of letters that a prisoner called Rayane Jabbari has written to her mother before she was hanged to death. So everything that you see on stage is created using the actors and their bodies, and that sort of work really excited me. In fact, working with Foyze is what really showed me what the kind of theater that I am most excited about is. Until then, I was just blindly exploring. Working with Foyze gave me a lot of direction in that sense. With Rajit and Glass Menagerie, again, it was a play that I had watched. I watched Jim Saab perform this part, and I absolutely loved the play. It's one of the greatest plays I've ever written, and I absolutely loved their production of it also. And then much later, I think after I'd interacted with people at Rage a couple of times through other plays that we had done, Rajit got in touch with me because they needed an understudy actor for Jim for the shows that he wasn't available for, or he wasn't going to be available for. So that's how I stepped into that. And it was after having done 2 or 3 films, and I was beginning to really miss theater because I was spending a lot of time in Kochi, and there isn't that much of an active theater scene here. So getting into Glass Menagerie with a cast that included people like Neil and Shanaz and Ira, it was really, really fun because it was somewhere in between a film and a play. They all have the play. They've been doing a lot of shows of it. It's an extremely realistic setting.
Right.
And I had to come in, and I had very few days to get my part in. And then while we're performing it, it's it was so different from a 777 or the kind of theater that I had been doing.
Right.
It was almost like performing a film but on stage, but with the awareness that there is a live audience. Right. They're amazing people to work with, amazing co-actors to play with on stage, and Rajit is great also when he's directing you. So in that shorter period of time, I still got a great experience of doing a play. I was my thirst for theater for then temporarily had been satisfied. So yeah, altogether, and we performed at 2 lovely venues in India that I hadn't performed at before. So,
any movies, web series you have watched recently that you have loved?
Yeah, lots actually, because there's been a lot of watching happening. Portrait of a Lady on Fire really stayed with me. I watched a movie called Good Time with Robert Pattinson, which also I really enjoyed.
Right.
And series, again, I watched something called Olive Kittredge, which was a mini series, an HBO mini series with Frances McDormand. I really liked it. I really enjoyed Patal Lok.
What's next for Roshan Mathew? What's coming up?
A couple of Malayalam films that I've done are still waiting to be released. Yeah. There's a Tamil film called Cobra.
That's right. That's going to be your first Tamil film, right?
That's going to be my first Tamil film.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So a little bit of filming left on that as well.
Okay.
And it's unlike everything I've done till now. It's a big production, requires large spaces and numbers. Right. So we don't know when we'll be able to resume, but I'm waiting on that. Right. And a couple of projects again in Malayalam waiting to start, but because things are as unpredictable right now, I probably won't be able to tell you which ones will begin first, but yeah.
You are just 28, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
And you have a long way to go, for sure.
Hopefully.
How are you planning your career? Like, do you really have a 5-year plan or something like that? Or you just go with the flow?
No, I fully go with the flow. I have zero plans, and this is just something that I when I started, I didn't really feel the need for a plan because, like I said earlier, it felt like it could end any day. So if
Yeah,
I had a plan, I would probably end up disappointed, and
right,
that sort of disappointment is very difficult to deal with. You know, the moment you start planning, you also, on some level, start celebrating that plan. I feel. For me, my anytime someone asks me where do you see yourself in the future and all, I just the reason I started doing this is because when I started doing those plays in Chennai, I had this feeling that every day I was going in for rehearsal. If my scene was to be rehearsed that day, I used to think, okay, I have to do this better than I did it the last time,
right,
and that's the sort of energy that keeps you from getting bored, right? I like
right.
my biggest fear about any other job is that I will get bored doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So my only plan is, my only hope rather, is that feeling doesn't go away. That I'm always, looking to fix something or make something better the next time I do it. Long as that's happening, it doesn't matter if it's film or theater or anything, any other medium.
Anyone's career you follow very closely, saying that this is a beautifully crafted career, in terms of, obviously there are, in an actor's life everything is not very planned and certain, but there are often you wonder that if you follow this guy's career, it's so beautifully done in 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. So do you have any such actor in either Hindi movies or in Malayalam movies where you feel that I really want to do, if I get a chance I would have a career like his?
Yeah. So I've tried to keep away from trying to mimic another actor's craft, but sometimes subconsciously you keep. If it's an actor that you followed very closely, and the moment you do one kind of a film or one film, you feel like, oh, this is that film, this is comparable to that film
Right,
that actor
right,
did at that point in his career. That's happened, and I then immediately try to not think about it that way. But Fahad
right.
Fasil is one of those actors.
Okay.
I really admire the journey that he's been on so far,
Right,
and he's arrived at the place that he is and is able to make the kind of choices that he's making right now only because of the amount of conviction that he had in all the choices that he's made so
right,
far. I think then Irfan, again, the kind of films that he was doing, his performances, his
right,
choices, they've all
right.
been very, very inspirational. And even like abroad, even though there's this amount of distance between someone like me and a Timothy Chalamet, or someone like me, or Xavier Dolan. I don't know if I'm even saying the name
Yeah.
right, but filmmakers, actors, all of these people, the kind of work that they're doing are very it makes me want to do work like that,
Right.
which is the closest I've come to wanting to mimic someone's
Okay.
craft.
Your session in Spoken Fest was well appreciated in 2020. Did you enjoy the concept of a festival of spoken words, thoughts, and expression?
I was really nervous about it because I've never done any sort of storytelling in front of an audience before,
Right.
apart from when we're in drama school and we're sort of trying out everything.
Right.
But I think the prospect of
Incidentally,
perform.
sorry to kind of butt in here. I was there in the
Oh,
audience, and I really enjoyed your session. So I would love to know a bit about
oh,
your
thank you.
experience of doing it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. I think any prospect of performing in front of a live audience immediately excites me as long as I'm not singing or dancing. Those two things scare me
Okay.
very much, to the point of me not being able to do anything. But anything apart from that, I am on some level excited. And then the nervousness that comes with it is of the good kind. And while I was very unsure about it initially, I think the organizers at this festival, especially two people, Sheena Khalid and Tess Joseph, they were, and now Sheena I know from the theater circle, and Tess again, like she works in casting, so as actors we've had run-ins. But these two people really helped me because I knew that I had a story. I just didn't know if my story would work there with that
Yeah.
sort of an audience,
Right.
and both of them were very, very good at convincing me that it just would. So I went in really confidently. It's only now when someone asks me that, hey, how do you feel about a story like that working in front of him? That's when I think about, oh yeah, that was actually quite a shot in the dark. But yeah, these two people really helped, and I think the story is also something that I've because you've heard it. it's something that I've grown up with, right? And it's very, very close to me. So I feel like any person, for that matter, when you're telling a story which is that close to you, you will, on some level, be honest. And I don't know. Basically, I don't know if I would be, if you would, be able to connect with just a random story, a piece of fiction that I tell, as much as this one. But because it was this one, I guess I I was able to do it, and I'm really, really glad that the audience connected.
I remember about the banyan tree. So I remember the story. So it connected with me.
Thank you.
Who have been your biggest inspirations in your life?
My grandfather, and he passed away when I was really young, but the stories I've heard about him from everywhere, from people in the family, from his children, his grandchildren, from neighbors, from people that I just randomly run into somewhere in some part of Kerala. All these stories have been inspirational. Actually, I remember after almost anything that anyone says about him, I've always thought, oh, what a cool guy. He just he just really managed to do it all. And in my head, I don't know, I have no way of asking him, but in my head, I really feel like he would have been a happy man, because everything that he had to do, he did well, and everything that he wanted to do, he did that well as well. So that's not the story of a lot of people right now. So I feel like it's him, more than anyone, who's inspired me. And then in the field of work that we're in, actors, filmmakers, there are a lot of people. Rajiv Ravi is again one of the biggest influences. Fahad is a great inspiration. But yeah, that list just goes on and
Endless. Yeah. So we are coming towards the end of the interview. I want now some just one-word answers. A director you would love to work with.
Rajiv Ravi.
Favorite holiday destination.
Out of the places that I've been to, I really enjoyed Hampi. I'd love to go back.
Places on your bucket list. You can choose 3, and make it as interesting as possible.
I really want to go to Edinburgh while the Fringe Festival is happening. I really want to go to the Himalayas, and I really want to go to an island which is like a tiny speck in the middle of an ocean, from where you can see nothing but water.
Thank you, Roshan Mathew, for talking to me. Stay safe, celebrate the success of your new release, and see you soon.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for this.